Every morning, the countdown begins for the markets with meticulous research and analysis designed to help you capitalize on the trading day. Beaming live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studio.
Good morning, hello and welcome to a fresh edition of Bazaar Morning Call. We're coming to you, as always, from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios. There's been plenty of tariff talk, plenty of geopolitical headlines, but finally, it's a Friday. I'm Surabhi Upadhyay, with me as always, Nigel D'Souza, and Rima keeps us company this Friday morning. Hi, guys.
Hi, with the lingering trade tensions and the cautious optimism, I think the only good thing is that it's a Friday. We've wrapped up the week. Flat so far. We've underperformed the rest of the Asian markets, but today's a new day.
Absolutely.
Well, indeed, and we get into this weekend. I'll tell you what, guys, we need to pull through another 4 sessions, and then we have the longer weekend. And I'll tell you what, and if you want to travel anywhere, even to a nearby hill station, everything is chock-a-block. I'm trying. There are three consecutive days, and everything is blocked, So that's
you're going to be here?
That's good. No, I'll make something happen. I have to. The 2 little kids are not going to let me do that. But, so people are looking forward to that mid-August holiday. A long weekend. After a while, I think.
And this weekend is Rakhi also, right?
Yeah,
so
special.
Festivities started.
The festivities have started, right? The feel-good factor.
Absolutely. And I mean, speaking of festivals, so much rides in this festive season for the market as well. And we'll talk about that as we go forward. You've heard that from corporate commentary throughout first quarter. All hopes pinned on this festive season. But before we get to that season, we have to still get through a lot of the global headlines. So let's straight away get to it. Now, the headlines this morning, to begin with, the most important of them all is that President Trump was asked whether there will be any immediate near-term further negotiations with India on tariffs. He's saying no, not until that issue is resolved. It seems like he's referring to, obviously, the oil purchases. Take a look, and then we'll take it from there.
You expect increased trade negotiations, since you've announced the 50% tariff?
No, not until we get it resolved.
So there you go. Straight talk, plain speak, whatever you want to call it, coming in from the US president. Clearly, there are issues out there. But do remember that yesterday, this whole talk of a meeting between the US president and Mr. Putin, and then, the word that came in from Mr. Zelensky about looking to end the war, all that triggered the short covering. So we'll see if something more can come out of it. Now, I'm going to continue with the geopolitics before I come to markets. What else do we know? Prime Minister Modi received a call from the Brazilian leader, from the Brazilian president Lula da Silva yesterday. And these overtures are important. Remember, we had comments from the Chinese supporting Brazil, now Brazil calling India. Very, very interesting overtures happening between the BRICS nations. And, of course, now it is official that President Putin will be visiting India. The date is not yet clear and final, but it's being worked out. So very, very interesting geopolitical sort of adjustments, perhaps, between the BRICS nations, looking quite interesting. And then Prime Minister Modi travels to China as well for the SCO summit later. Now, amidst all of this, let's get back to some, inputs that we're getting on China. On China, as the market has been believing, it seems that this 90-day window of a tariff pause, that's going to be extended. And how do we know that? Because we had the U.S. Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, speaking to Fox News yesterday. And he says, and I quote exactly, "I think we're going to leave that to trade team and the president to make those decisions. But it feels like they're going to come to an agreement and extend that for another 90 days. So the Chinese seem to be the only major trading partner where the U.S. is willing to give in a little bit and negotiate. Otherwise, it's been pretty much a 0 or 1 from the U.S.'s side. So this is where we are with respect to trade. Now let's talk markets. Yesterday was a mixed session for Wall Street, but it was a very choppy and volatile session as well. You had the Dow ending about 0.5% lower. The S&P was all over the wild ride, but then it recovered to finally close flat, and the Nasdaq managed to eke out some gains. A lot of chatter in the market about the next people who will come into the Federal Reserve itself. And Trump yesterday finally announced the successor to Adriana Kugler, a gentleman by the name of Stephen Mirren, who's known to be a close Trump aide. But he's only taking over till January, till Ms. Kugler's term actually officially ends. So therefore, there was not too much of reaction in the bond markets. In fact, the yield was hardly changed, 1-2 basis points here and there. And the US 10-year, this morning actually it's climbed up a little bit. It was 4.24 till last evening. Now it's 4. 2.25. The bigger guesswork continues on who will be the next Fed chair. And that's where Christopher Waller's name has come up. This is as per a Bloomberg report. He's, of course, one of the current Fed governors, and he's widely respected in the market as someone who really understands monetary policy and the way financial markets work. So that was taken very well. That indication was taken well by the market. The dollar managed to move up slightly, but not too much. The dollar is still continuing around the 98 handle, the dollar index, that is, around that pivot. So a little bit of an increase coming in from lower levels. And we have seen that narrow range continue. Now, for India, where do we stand tracking all these geopolitical headlines? Yesterday, we had a great helping hand from the short covering bounce. Very, very sharp recovery as geopolitical, overtures indicated that maybe there's some breakthrough, in the coming days on the Ukraine war. But we have to see. Now, today is a fresh day. The expiry factors would be behind us. So let's see if some of these issues will linger. But what we know right now is that these geopolitical worries, these tariff issues, they're not out of the way. And FPI selling is going to be the key watch point. And we'll talk about that. Rima will mention numbers in just a bit. But as that FPI selling continues, and it has, DII flows remain extremely crucial, and Monday we'll get the flows. And you heard Nilesha speak to us on this show just a couple of days back that expect record flows in July, and that's where the market will keep its faith. Rima.
Well, let's just quickly take stock of Asia this morning. Broadly lower, barring a Nikkei. The Japanese markets have surged close to about 2% in opening, and that's because we've had some strong earnings from SoftBank. SoftBank is currently trading with a gain of about 12%, and even Sony is higher by nearly 4%. So that's, boosting Nikkei, but the rest of the markets are a bit subdued. So Hang Seng's down close to about 0.5%. The Korean markets, that's Kospi, also lower in trade. Back home for our own markets, we had that smart intraday pullback in the last 1 hour of trade. The Nifty recovered about 250 points from the day's low and finally ended around the 24,600 mark. Now, technically, just in the immediate term, resistance could be around 24,700 to 24,800. That's a level that you can see, that's the intraday high. We've tested a couple of times just in this week itself. Now, week to date, the Nifty is absolutely flat, and given the lingering trade tensions, the escalation, we have underperformed our Asian market peers, where Taiwan is up close to about 3%. Japanese markets have soared over 2%. In terms of flows, big buying seen by the DIIs yesterday, about 10,800 crore. The FI sold 5,000 crore in the cash market. They've net sold 16,000 crore in August. And remember, this is after dumping nearly 48,000 crore in the month of July. Lots and lots of stocks to watch today, but some of the important ones, one of them is Titan, strong margin beat. On Bharti Airtel, promoters are looking to sell in a deal which is in excess of $1 billion, so about 0.8% equity. AU Small Finance Bank, and this is a stock which is down 10% in the last 1 month, so you should watch for this. It's got an in-principle approval to become a universal bank, and big number is expected. SBI and Tata Motors in particular will announce their results. So that's on my radar. Nigel, what are you looking at?
Well, yesterday we had a good bounce, right? It was a weekly expiry, and we highlighted a couple of oversold levels, and from there the Nifty went ahead and bounced. But it could be a count of weekly expiry as well, and two factors that stood out. One was intraday, the PCR went to around that sub 0.7 odd, which is normally the indicator where you get a bit of a bounce. And as we have been saying for the last many trading sessions, that the FIs, well, they are net short as well on the index. So, moving to what the FIs did, though, by the end of the day, you were wondering whether or not they were covering their shorts. Actually, on index futures, they didn't cover their shorts. They added, shorts yet again. They added close on 6,000 contracts. And on stock futures, well, there was a mix of activity out there, some long addition, some short addition as well out there. The good news is, even X of that block yesterday, it appears that the FI selling has gone down, quite a bit. And X of that, there could be some mild buying as well. So I'll be looking at today's, block deal very closely. That's with regard to Bharti Airtel. And then trying to strip out what is the core FI number looking like, because that selling has reduced, which is good news. The FI positioning, though, on the stock, on the index futures, well, that's aggressively net short. 91.5% positions on the short side in absolute contracts, around 1.75 lakh contracts. So we're closer to the peak levels that we have seen. In the past, we've seen a number a little over the 92%, and we've seen the contracts, after adjusting, it's closer to around 2 lakh contracts. So the FIs are net shorts, not such a bad thing, but this market needs to stop falling. Once it stops falling, then these shorts will start getting nervous in the system, and that's what could cause a bit of a bounce. Moving to, the other important point. For the last 5 trading sessions, the Nifty is making lower highs. So for today's trading session, you'll at least wanted to get first past this level, because otherwise, as that chart is telling you, on a day-to-day basis, you're making lower highs, and that trend needs to be broken. The PCR, as I said, yesterday had moved to around 0.7. That's popped back up. It's around the 1 mark, so that's around the mid level. And there are, aggressive call writing that we have been seeing, and that continues as well. Now, in yesterday's trading session, you had the 24,500 call, added closer on 20 lakh shares. 24,600 call as well, did add closer on 12 lakh shares. Both of them, you punch in the premiums, and you get a rough number in terms of the near-term resistance mark, which comes in around 24,750 odd mark. That's the important mark. For today's trading session, you'll want the Nifty to get past that. And then, in fact, you'll be looking at the 20-day MA. So that's the important resistance levels that come up for you on the screen. On the put side as well, there's been a fair bit of addition. At around the 24,500 put, 24,400 put, and just punching in the premium out here. You're looking at yesterday's low as an important support zone and the 100 EMA. And from here is when we bounced, in yesterday's trading session as well. So that's going to be the important mark. Just one stock, Bharti Airtel. Last few months, the stock has been a little bit in a consolidation phase. Today, once that block gets out of the way, it'll be interesting to see how Bharti Airtel does, because the last few months, in fact, it's not done much. I'll keep an eye out on this one.
Okay, all right, absolutely. So let's watch out for that block on Bharti and a lot of those levels. And for starters, let's see if the Nifty can at least defend that zone of 24,400, 450 thereabouts. Well, let's kick it off then. The equity call of the morning coming in, and this is a call coming in from Herald van der Linde of HSBC. He says that at this juncture, we find India to be more of a stock picker's market than one driven by top-down macros. He says they are less worried about tariffs than weak demand and elevated valuations in India. They're neutral from a regional perspective with a 2025 end target of 85,130 for the sensex. He says their top 5 stock ideas are Trent, Infosys, Godrej Consumer Products, SBI, and Phoenix Mills.